claim that the other one breached the contract on the BMW.
Yes.
Mr. McCune, what do you claim is the breach of contract here?
He was in charge of the initial assessment, the fixing of the BMW, and the selling of the BMW, which I know is not in the contract.
Yep.
I've never done anything like this before.
Right.
It would have been a key sentence to include in the contract.
Actually, in my mind, the key point to include in this contract would have been what to do in the event of the most foreseeable disaster when you're flipping a car, which is that there are latent defects. And this contract doesn't address what happens. So, Mr. Rollins, what is your claim for breach of contract?
He quit financing the project.
Also not in here. This agreement is very clear that the possible repairs that are being contracted around are $300.
We discussed this many times.
What if there's $2,000 of latent defects? He was going to pay for them?
We didn't get down into those details on that. We discussed the financing of the project, and I can fix pretty much anything. So I could have fixed this vehicle. It could have been sold.
But not at a profit, I think, is the problem
He
here.
would have been made whole. I would have gotten nothing. So I offered for him to come get the vehicle and sell it to get his money back because he didn't want to put any more money into it, and I wasn't going to put any more of my time and my effort into a vehicle that, that was my responsibility.
What do you think the car could have been sold for just as a piece of junk? The time that it was towed?
Probably $2,500.
And they towed it for free on the theory that it was his vehicle
It's
illegally
abandoned.
parked on your property.
He has the title. It's his vehicle.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open it up.
First of all, let's look at the Blue Book value of this 2001 BMW. Our records indicate the Blue Book value as $2,058. Would you agree with that, both of you?
They go for a lot more, and it had lower miles on it, and it was
You bought this vehicle for how much? $1,200.
Yes.
You put $2,400 into it, right?
Yes.
And you claim that with that $2,400, you could have got $6,000 for this
Where
car?
I live, yes.
Do you have any proof of that? Any documentation?
It's comparable with all the other ones on the market in my area. Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, they're all around the same going rate.
And you offered this car back to the plaintiff?
I did, so he could get
You
his
didn't
money
take
back.
You didn't want it?
Heck no, it's a piece of junk. I'd say tops worth maybe 12 what it was purchased.
And you're sued for labor. You're saying it's $100
My
an
shop
hour,
rate's
and you put
$100
35 hours of
did.
labor into the vehicle, so you're suing for, what did you say?
$3,500.
And storage fee.
Why are you suing for storage fees?
Because he refused to pick up the vehicle, and it's taking room in my shop that I needed to work on other vehicles. Anybody that leaves a vehicle behind in my shop, I charge them per day.
I thought
they
your
don't
shop
pick
was
it up.
being shut down.
Yeah, but you didn't tell the plaintiff you were going to charge him storage.
I did.
At some point.
At some point, I did. When I gave him a few weeks to get it out of there, I had to clear cars out of there because my landlord didn't want so many cars there. I worked that out with him, so I was able to keep my shop open. But I needed space inside, not have a bunch of cars outside.
And how much did you get for the lift?
I sold the lift for $1,000. I took a loss on it.
That would have fixed the BMW.
I was in a tough spot. Things aren't exactly like, I'm not rolling in it with my business. It's fresh, it's a year, and I had to make a choice, a roof over my wife's head or fix this car.
Okay. Are we good?
Yeah.
All right, we'll excuse the parties while we deliberate in this matter. Thank you both very much.
All right.
Do you know what good lawyers do?
Tell me.
They anticipate contingencies and draft contracts that anticipate contingencies and resolutions that are fair to both sides. And unfortunately, there were no lawyers involved in the creation of the agreement between the two of you. And we've pretty much concluded that the nature of your responsibilities with respect to this agreement to flip cars is that each of you made an investment, and there's always the element of a risk. And unfortunately, the car turned out essentially to be a lemon. So unfortunately, this was a risk that you have to bear responsibility for. He gave you $1,200 and a $400 penalty for not paying it back in time. The $400 penalty is usurious, and it would be illegal to exact that amount of interest on a $1,200 loan. So we're discarding that. It was a half a year that he had use of the money. We will give you half the 10% interest that you could have charged over the course of a year. So that comes out to $60. So the verdict of the court is in your favor for $1,260.
All right.
And the cross complaint is dismissed.